Hello everyone, welcome to LeetCode walkthrough series. Hope you all are doing good today. We are going to solve longest substring without repeating characters today. The problem says, given a string S, find the length of the longest substring without duplicate characters. So they've given an input string called as S. We need to find the longest substring such that it has unique number of characters and return the size of it. So if we have an example string like this, we need to take all possible substrings, valid substrings, such that there are no repeated characters. So here, for example, ABC, CAB or CBB. We see that ABC has size of 3, CAB has a size of 3 as well, and CBB has also a size of 3, but we have a repeated B character here. Similarly, if we take ABCA, we have A character repeated. If we take ABCAB, we'll have both A and B characters repeated. I'm sorry. So we need to return a maximum size, that these strings substring size. Okay. Here the size maximum size is 3, so they have written 3 here. So to solve this is one of the variable length sliding window pattern problem. So we take 2 pointers at the start. Let's call them as start and end. We initialize them at the start index. And we take a frequency map or a dictionary to keep track of the characters encountered and their occurrences. So the key is the character encountered in the string S, and the value is the number of occurrences of that character. Okay. Now we take longest substring value variable and assign it to 0 initially. This updates when the window size becomes the largest. So you'll get to know when we do the dry run. So initially it is set to 0, and when the window expands more and more, it takes the maximum value of that, means the distance between the end and start pointer. And now we will write the algorithm. So for every pointer end is pointing at the character, we add that value and the key value pair, which means the character and its occurrence, to the frequency map. Add the character and its occurrence map. Okay. Then after adding, we need to make sure it is not repeated, means we have to check if there are duplicates encountered in the window, I mean the end pointer. If the same character occurred again, we need to remove that. So how do we remove it? First we have to take a while loop and then check frequency of s of n pointer. If the value of the entry is more than 1, for example, if we have a frequency map like this, A is 1, B is 2 and C is 1, okay, the B character occurred 2 number of times, so we have to remove it. How do we remove it? We have to trim the start pointer from the left side. The end pointer first runs from starting to end index. So let me clarify that first. For n in range of length of string S, okay, it runs from start to end. throughout the string, and whenever it finds out a duplicate character, it increments that occurrence count in the frequency map, and this loop is to make sure that to remove that duplicate character with the start by incrementing the start index. Okay, we increment the start pointer. When we do that, before incrementing, we have to remove the occurrence count that start pointer is pointing at first, and we have to make a check if the frequency of the removed occurrence count, if it becomes 0, then that character is of no use. In the substring, we have to delete that entry in the frequency map as of start. After deleting it, we have to increment the start pointer. Okay, and after all this, we have to take the window length and assign the maximum window length. If it is if the prior window length is maximum, then we assign that value if the value stays the same. Otherwise, if the window length is maximum, it gets updated to the window length as a maximum value. And finally, when the loop ends, the for loop order loop ends, we return the longest maximum value, which is the result. Okay, now let's do the dry run. For example, let me take this example here, CDEAF. Okay, we initialize the start and end pointer at the start index. Let me call it as S for start pointer and E for end pointer. And frequency map is here, initially empty. So end pointer is pointing at the character A. We update the map with the value 1, and then we move the end pointer. And initially, the longest substring value is 0. The end minus start plus 1 means it becomes 1 now. After adding this entry to the map, we have to check the maximum value, so it becomes 1. Right now, end minus start is 1. Okay, after incrementing the end pointer. Now we have character B encountered. We add it to the map entry, and then next we move the end pointer and add the entry C to the frequency map. Okay, now the longest substring becomes 2 minus 0 plus 1 is 3. The size becomes 3, substring size, and we move ahead. Now we have already the entry B already in the frequency map, so we increase its count, and we know that there is a duplicate. So what we do is we trim the start pointer from the left until the character B becomes 1. So there are no duplicates. That means the frequency map always make sure there are a unique number of characters in the given sliding window or a substring. Okay, so when we move the start pointer, the count becomes 0, so we remove this entry altogether from the window. So we see that 3 minus 1, the index is 3. Now the end point is pointing at, and start pointer is pointing at 1. So 3 minus 1 plus 1 is 3 again. So it stays the same, maximum stays the same. Then we move the end pointer again. We add the D character, and so B is still 2, so we also have to move the start pointer. Okay, this becomes 1. We reduce the count. Now the distance between them is right now, okay, earlier it was here, right? Yeah, it is 1, so the maximum stays the same. So we move the end pointer and add the D character into the map, and nothing happens. The distance between them is 3, so it stays, the maximum stays this 3. We move the end pointer again, we add the character E to the map, and the distance becomes 4 now. Okay, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 minus 2 plus 1, which means 4. So maximum becomes 4. And then we move the pointer E, end pointer again. We will have the character A again, once again. So here it got removed and we add it. Now the size becomes 5. And finally we move the end pointer again with the character F. So the string length becomes 6. And the maximum substring with unique characters is CBDEAF. So we return the length as 6 as the final answer. So this is the algorithm and the dry run. So let's code the solution. Let me initialize the start pointer to 0. Okay, and then the longest substring value to 0 as well, and we take the frequency map, empty frequency map at first. Okay, for every character value that endpoint is pointing at, we add that character to the frequency map along with its occurrence. How we do is frequency of s of end equals frequency dot get s of end comma 0 plus 1. So what this expression does is, first it tries to capture the for example, initially the frequency map will be empty, right? It tries to get this character from the frequency map. If it is already present, it gets that value. So this is a key. So when you call it with the get function, we get the value of that key. So we get, it retrieves the value of this key if it is already present. If it is not present, it by default it pretends that it has a value of 0. So initially, if a character is encountered, it retrieves as a with the value of 0 and adds the count as this one. We add the count as 1, increment the count, and assign it to the assign that value to this key place here. That's what this expression does. If it is already present before, it takes the value as 1 here, it gets the s of n and add 1 to it, so it becomes 2. So that's how it works. So let me reset this frequency map. Now after adding the entry to the frequency map, we have to check if the frequency of s of n is greater than 1. We have to see if there are any duplicates added to the map. If there are duplicates, we need to trim from the start. Trim the start pointer value until that duplicate value, the duplicate is removed. Okay. So before moving the start pointer, we will have to remove the current character occurrence first from the frequency map by 1, and we have to check this condition. If frequency of, after removing, we have to check this, if the frequency of that character becomes 0, then that character is of no use for our substring, so we remove that character from the frequency map substart. Okay, and we increment the start pointer value. And after trimming down the start pointer, we increment the longest substring. We update the longest substring variable length. Okay, either it stays the longest substring value as it is, or it updates based on the n minus start plus 1 value. So whichever is the maximum, it updates that value. And finally, we return the longest substring value. Okay, so let's run this. Okay, solution is accepted, and let me submit this. Okay, the solution is accepted. So the time complexity and space complexity are, we are iterating with the end pointer from start to end in the substring, in the entire string, and find out all the unique number of characters. So the time complexity, in the worst case, the end pointer traverses throughout the start to end index, that is n number of times, and start pointer also, in the worst case, if there are duplicates, it iterates from start to end index. So order of n plus n, it is 2n. So in the end, it is order of n. And space complexity, in the worst case, we require a frequency map of the size of the input string, which is n again. So if there are all characters that are unique, we need n number of characters to store in the frequency map. So it is order of n as well, the space complexity. Okay, so that's all about it. Thanks for watching.